Welcome back to the deep dive. I want to start today by asking you to do something physical.
Mm.
Right now, wherever you are.
Oh, we are getting physical right out of the gate.
We are. I mean, unless you're driving, obviously. Please keep your hands on the wheel. But if you're sitting at a desk or on the couch, I want you to just take a second and notice your posture.
You're talking about the slouch.
Yes, exactly. Because there is this image from the source material we are covering today that I really cannot shake it.
Yeah, the speaker in our source text, Ho-Yang Lin, he uses this metaphor that is just so visceral.
Right.
He describes the average human state not as standing tall and confident, but as this perpetual spiritual hunch.
A spiritual hunch. It's such a powerful image. It's this idea that we've been walking around with this cramp of fear, like this anxiety and defensiveness for so long, decades maybe.
To the point where we've actually forgotten what it feels like to stand up straight.
Exactly. We think the slouch is normal. We think that tightness in the chest, the looking over our shoulder, that constant low-level hum of what's going to go wrong next.
Yeah.
We just think that is what being a human is.
And the kicker is when someone or something comes along and tries to help you, stand up straight, to actually connect with the state of total safety or love, it hurts.
Yeah.
It feels completely unnatural to us.
It feels weird. It's like when you finally go to a chiropractor.
Oh, perfect example.
Right. And they snap you back into alignment. And for the next 3 days, you feel like you're walking sideways because your muscles are fighting the health.
They want to go back to the sickness.
Because the sickness is familiar.
Yeah.
The slouch is what they know.
And that is just the perfect setup for what we are doing today. Because the text we're diving into is arguably the ultimate chiropractic adjustment for the mind. We are talking about A Course in Miracles.
I know. I can already hear some of you groaning. A Course in Miracles.
People definitely have a reaction to that title.
They do. It sounds like something your eccentric aunt reads while burning sage in the living room, or something that's going to be way too dense and religious and totally divorced from reality.
And honestly, that is a fair critique of the text itself. It is dense. It uses very heavy Christian terminology, words like Holy Spirit, atonement, miracle.
Right.
But it uses them in a completely non-traditional, almost entirely psychological way.
And that is exactly why we are using this specific source today. We aren't just reading the book dry. We are looking at a transcript from a reading group led by Ho-Yang Lin.
Which changes everything.
It really does. He takes these concepts from Chapter 2, specifically sections 5 and 6, and he strips away all that churchy vibe.
He brings it down to earth.
Yes. He applies this really high-level spiritual logic to things like sales targets, dealing with annoying bosses, the fear of losing money, and interpersonal conflict, things you deal with every single day.
It's essentially a course in miracles for people who have jobs, mortgages, and anxiety.
So here is our mission for this deep dive. We are going to treat this material like a manual, an instruction booklet for the mind.
For the everyday person who has never even opened the book.
Exactly. We are going to figure out why we are slouching. We're going to define what this level confusion thing is that keeps us stuck in the slouch. And then we are going to look at the practical, step-by-step mechanics of how to fix it.
And I should probably just say this right up front. The logic we're going to discuss today is going to sound a bit circular. It might be frustrating.
Oh, it's going to be frustrating.
And it might even be a little insulting to your ego.
It's definitely insulting to the ego. It basically tells you that everything you think you know about your own problems is completely wrong.
Pretty much. But if you stick with it, it offers an actual way out of the slouch.
Okay, so let's start with the title itself. Miracle. When I hear the word miracle, my brain immediately goes to Hollywood. I'm thinking Charlton Heston parting the Red Sea.
Water into wine.
Right. Or, on a good day, I'm thinking about finding a parking spot right in front of the grocery store on a busy Saturday.
Ah, the parking spot miracle, a modern classic.
We've all prayed for that one. But in the context of this book, and specifically this reading group's analysis, that is not what a miracle is at all, is it?
No, it's not. In fact, looking for those kinds of external physical miracles can actually be a trap.
How so?
Well, in the Carcal, a miracle is strictly defined as a correction of perception.
A correction of perception. Okay, break that down for me.
It is entirely an internal shift. It's moving from a state of what the source calls picture 1, which is a state of fear, lack, and separation, over to picture 2.
Which is love and safety.
Love, union, safety. The miracles that you change your mind. It's not necessarily that you change the laws of physics or magically alter the physical world around you.
Okay, so let's ground this. Let's say I have a boss who is just an absolute nightmare. He screams, he micromanages, he's just awful to be around.
A very relatable scenario.
Right. So I pray for a miracle. The Hollywood version of that miracle is that he gets fired the next day. Or maybe he has a sudden personality transplant and comes in acting like Mr. Rogers.
Exactly. That's you demanding that the external world changes to suit your preferences and comfort.
But the peace miracle is what then? That I just stand there and don't care that he's screaming.
The miracle is that you stop seeing him as a monster who has the power to destroy your inner peace.
That sounds really difficult.
It is an adjustment. You shift your perception from, I am a victim of this terrible tyrant, to, I am completely safe and this person is just acting out their own internal fear.
So the miracle is my own peace.
Yes. The miracle is that you can stand in that room while he is yelling his head off and feel absolutely at peace, unbothered.
I have to be honest, that sounds almost impossible. And frankly, it sounds a little bit like gaslighting myself, like I'm standing in a burning building saying, oh, everything is fine, the fire isn't real.
It definitely feels like that at first when you're used to the slouch, but the core argument here is that the fire isn't the boss.
What is it then?
The fire is your reaction to the boss. And this brings us right to the single most important technical term in today's deep dive. If you take only one thing away from this entire conversation, it needs to be this concept.
Lay it on me.
Level confusion.
Level confusion. It sounds like a generic error message on a retro video game. Level load failed.
It really does. But it is actually a very precise map of how reality works, or at least how we misinterpret it. The Course argues that there are two distinct levels to reality.
Okay.
There is the mind, which is the cause, and there is the body or the physical world, which is the effect.
Cause and effect. The mind causes, the world is the effect. Simple enough.
Right. Level confusion happens when you mix those two up. It's when you think the physical world is the cause of your problems, and so you try to fix the physical world using physical tools, completely ignoring the mind.
Okay, I'm going to need a very concrete example here. Because I feel like I solve physical problems with physical tools every single day.
Most of us do. Give me an example.
If I have a pounding headache, I take an aspirin. And it works. The headache goes away.
Yeah.
Are you telling me that taking an aspirin is level confusion?
This is such a great point, and the source transcript actually spends a good amount of time on this exact question because it is exactly where people get tripped up.
Because it seems so obvious.
Right. Someone in the reading group literally asked, if I'm sick, do I take medicine? Or do I just pray for a miracle?
Please tell me the answer is to take the medicine.
The answer is absolutely take the medicine. The Course is not anti-medicine. It's not telling you to ignore physical realities.
Okay, phew. Good.
However, the level confusion comes in regarding what you actually believe the medicine is doing for you.
Well, I believe the medicine is fixing my headache.
On a purely physical, biological level, yes.
Yeah.
But if you believe that your ultimate safety, your peace of mind, your salvation, essentially, it depends on that little white pill, you are confused.
I see.
You are attributing real power to the physical object, the effect, rather than recognizing the power of the mind, the cause.
So it's less about the action of taking the pill and more about where I am placing my faith.
Exactly. The source uses this fascinating analogy of magic.
Magic. Like pulling a rabbit out of a hat?
More like using physical things to fix spiritual unease. The Course calls that magic. It might work temporarily, your headache goes away. But if the root cause of that headache was actually internal stress, a deep-seated fear, or a belief that you are separate and alone, that symptom is just going to pop up somewhere else.
Oh, it's whack-a-mole.
It is the ultimate game of whack-a-mole.
You fix the headache, you get a backache.
You fix the backache, you get a bout of insomnia.
You fix the insomnia with a sleeping pill, and you wake up and your boss is yelling at you again and you have a panic attack.
Exactly. You are constantly trying to patch these little holes in the hull of the ship, which is the physical world, without realizing that the captain, your mind, is purposefully steering you right into the rocks.
That makes a lot of sense. Let's look at the business example from the notes, because I think this will really resonate with a lot of you listening who are out there chasing big goals. The $1 million plan.
Yes. This is where Hoi-Yang Lin really grounds the theory into everyday life.
So imagine we have a guy, and he wants to make $1 million. That is his goal. That is a tangible physical result in the world of effects.
Right. And there is inherently nothing wrong with that goal. The Course doesn't care if you're rich or poor.
But then this guy engages in level confusion. What does his life look like in that state?
It looks like pure misery. He tries to force that $1 million result through sheer brute force physical effort.
The grind.
The grind. He is working 18 hours a day.
Right.
He is stressed to the max. He might be manipulating his customers to close deals. He's screaming at his team because they aren't working as hard as he is.
He's doing whatever it takes.
Yes, but he's trying to squeeze this $1 million out of the physical world while his internal state, his mind, is screaming something completely different.
What's his mind screaming?
I am poor. I am afraid. I am not enough. If I don't get this money, I will not survive.
Wow. So he is trying to build immense wealth on a fundamental foundation of poverty consciousness.
Exactly. He is trying to fix the lack of money, which is level 2, the effect, without fixing the belief in lack, which is level 1, the mind.
And what does the text say about that approach?
It says it's not only exhausting, it is ultimately totally futile. Because even if he hits the goal, even if he gets the $1 million in the bank, he won't feel rich.
He'll just be the exact same terrified person, just with a bigger bank account.
Precisely. Because he never corrected the cause.
Yeah.
You cannot fix a problem at the level of the problem. You have to go to the level of the mind.
This is incredibly heavy stuff when you really sit with it. It basically says that every single problem I have, whether it's a flat tire on the highway, a failing relationship, or an empty bank account, is actually a problem in my mind first.
Yes. The world is just a mirror reflecting your mind back to you. And there's a great saying, if you don't like what you see in the mirror, you don't shave the mirror.
You shave your face.
You shave your face.
I love that. Don't shave the mirror.
That's so true. But okay, if the problem is always in the mind, let's talk about what is actually going on in there, because the source material uses this great framework to explain it. Picture 1 and picture 2.
Yeah, this is a really helpful simplification used by the reading group to make the course's theory of the split mind a lot easier to handle for everyday people.
Walk us through picture 1. This is the default setting for most of us, right?
Picture 1 is the slouch. It is the state of separation. In this picture, you believe, completely subconsciously usually, that you have separated from your source, from God, the universe, whatever you want to call it.
You're cut off.
You are a tiny, isolated, fragile fragment floating around in a massive, hostile universe.
It's the ultimate me against the world mentality.
Correct. And because you believe you are completely separate, you believe you are totally alone. And because you are alone, you are 100% responsible for your own survival.
Which is terrifying. It's exhausting. You have to hunt for your own food, fight off your own enemies, secure your own retirement fund, protect your own ego. It is a state of constant low-grade terror.
It's pure survival mode.
It is. And in picture 1, fear isn't just an emotion you feel sometimes. Fear is the baseline. It's the water we swim in. We just learn to manage the fear. We buy life insurance, we install alarm systems on our houses, we people pleasers so our boss won't fire us.
But the underlying fear never actually goes away.
Never. Because the belief in separation is still there.
Okay, so contrast that with picture 2.
Picture 2 is the state of union. It is the realization, or honestly even just the willingness to entertain the hope that the separation never actually happened.
That you're not cut off.
Right. That you are still fully plugged into the source. You are not a dying battery that has to aggressively conserve its energy. You are plugged directly into the wall outlet. Infinite supply.
So in picture 2, is fear even possible?
No. Fear is impossible in picture 2 because fear is simply the absence of love. Just like darkness is just the absence of light.
You can't fight darkness.
Exactly. You don't get a sword and fight the dark. You just flip the light switch. Picture 2 is flipping the switch. It's turning on the light.
That makes a lot of sense. And this brings us to an analogy in the transcript that honestly made me laugh out loud when I read it. But the more I thought about it, the more profound it became. The assistant.
The AI assistant. Yes, this is a brilliant modern framing by the speaker.
We really have to talk about this. Because usually, when people talk about God or the Holy Spirit or higher consciousness, it is very solemn, very serious and churchy. But the speaker here compares the divine to a bored AI assistant.
It's such a great way to demystify it. So I want you to imagine you have access to this super advanced AI. Think like Jarvis from the Iron Man movies, or the most advanced, flawless version of ChatGPT you could possibly imagine.
Okay, I'm picturing it.
And this AI is standing right next to you, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. It has the computing power to organize the entire universe, smooth out your path, solve impossibly complex problems, and basically handle all the heavy lifting of your life.
It's literally God mode tech.
God mode, exactly. And what do we do with it?
We completely ignore it.
We ignore it. We are running around our office, sweating, dropping papers everywhere, crying in the bathroom, trying to juggle 50 plates at once. We are stressed out of our minds.
And what's the assistant doing?
The assistant is just standing there, leaning against the wall, checking its invisible fingernails, just totally bored.
Just waiting.
Waiting, because we haven't given it a single command. We haven't asked for its help once.
But why? Why don't we ask? I mean, if I actually had Jarvis, I would be using him every single second of the day. Jarvis, do my taxes. Jarvis, write this email.
You'd think so, right? But the source says we are quite literally addicted to fear. We are addicted to relying on our own separated strength.
We want to be the hero of our own struggle.
Yes. We have this deep-seated arrogance that says, if I don't worry about this problem, who will? We somehow think that our worry and our anxiety is the actual glue that is holding our universe together.
We think if we stop slouching, if we let go for even a second, the sky is going to fall on our heads.
Precisely. We simply do not trust the assistant. We might think, sure, maybe God can handle the big, lofty spiritual stuff like world peace or the afterlife. But can he really handle my IRS tax audit? Can he handle my baby who won't stop crying at 3 a.m.?
That was actually a specific question from someone in the reading group transcript.
Mm-hmm.
They asked, is it okay to ask for spiritual help for small things like a crying baby?
It's such an honest question.
I identified with that so much. I always feel like I shouldn't bother the divine with my petty little daily drama, like it's a waste of resources.
And this touches on one of the absolute core principles of A Course in Miracles. The text states very clearly, there is no order of difficulty in miracles.
Meaning what, practically?
Meaning that to the divine, to the assistant, resolving a world war and calming a crying baby are the exact same thing.
Come on, that is really hard to swallow. A global war is objectively a bigger problem than a baby wanting a bottle.
To us, yes. When we are stuck in picture one, we have a very strict hierarchy of illusions. We think stage 4 cancer is a big problem and a paper cut is a small problem. We think $1 million is a lot of money and $1 is a little bit of money.
Because in the physical world, that's true.
But the Course argues that any loss of peace, whether it is triggered by the threat of nuclear war or just being stuck in a bad traffic jam, is just a symptom of the exact same error.
The belief in separation.
Exactly. The cause is always the same, therefore, the cure is always the same.
So the assistant doesn't look at my request and say, wow, this is too big, I need more RAM for this. Or this is too small, don't bother me.
Not at all. The assistant only cares that you are finally asking for correction. Whether you are asking to fix a massive global crisis or you just want help finding your lost car keys, the fundamental request underneath is the exact same.
Which is?
I've lost my peace. Please help me find it again.
That is incredibly comforting because it means I don't have to ration my prayers. I don't have to save my one ask for a massive disaster.
You should never ration them. In fact, the source implies you should be utilizing this help constantly, all day long, stuck in traffic. Ask for help. The barista got your coffee order wrong and you feel a spike of annoyance. Ask for help.
Not help to smite the barista with lightning, obviously.
No, not to change the barista, but help to correct your own irritation. Help to get back to picture 2.
Okay, speaking of irritation, we have to pivot to the part of the source material that I personally think is the absolute hardest to actually implement in real life. Interpersonal conflict.
Yes. Other people.
Other people. The Course calls them special relationships.
Yes. That's a whole deep dive in itself.
There is a quote mentioned in the notes. It's attributed to a writer named Zhang Defen, but Huiyang Lin uses it to perfectly explain the ACM perspective. The quote is, "Dear, outside there is no one else."
Outside there is no one else. It sounds like a line from a psychological horror movie.
It really does. When I first read it, it sounded like solipsism. Like it's saying, I am the only real person in the universe, and all of you are just robots or figments of my imagination. Is that what it's saying?
No, it's not saying that other people aren't real autonomous souls. It is saying that in your specific subjective experience of the world, everyone you encounter is acting as a mirror for your mind.
A mirror.
Yes. They're essentially just acting out the script that your own subconscious mind has written for them.
Okay, we need to role play the example from the transcript because this is where the rubber really meets the road.
Yeah.
The borrowing money scenario.
The ultimate trigger for so many people. Let's do it.
So let's set the scene. I have a good friend. Let's call him Steve. Steve comes up to me and says, hey man, things are really tough right now. Can I borrow $10,000?
Okay, freeze frame right there. Steve just asked for the $10K. What is happening inside your body in that exact moment?
Total panic. An immediate physical contraction in my chest. My stomach drops, and my mind just instantly starts racing.
What is the mind saying?
It's saying, I worked so hard for this money. If I give this to him, I won't have it for my own emergency. If I say no, he's going to tell all our mutual friends that I'm cheap and selfish. But if I say yes, he's definitely going to take advantage of me and never pay me back. It is an absolute war zone in my head.
Okay. That internal war zone. That is picture one, perfectly illustrated. You are firmly planted in the belief of lack and separation. You fundamentally believe that your safety is tied to holding on to that specific $10,000.
And Steve is a direct threat to that safety.
Exactly. But here's where the level confusion comes in. You think the conflict and the anxiety is about the money. You think it's about the math.
Well, yeah, 10,000 is a lot of math.
But the source asks a really fascinating question here to flip your perspective. What if, instead of being you were Elon Musk?
Okay, if I'm Elon Musk and Steve asks me for $10,000, I probably just Venmo it to him while I'm eating a sandwich and completely forget about it 5 seconds later.
Why? The math is exactly the same. $10,000 is leaving your bank account and going to Steve.
Because to Elon Musk, $10,000 is absolutely nothing. It doesn't threaten his survival or his lifestyle in any way. He has zero sense of lack regarding that specific amount of money.
Precisely. So the intense conflict and suffering you feel when Steve asks for the money isn't actually caused by Steve, and it isn't caused by the math.
It's caused by my own mind.
It is caused by your deeply held belief that you are limited. It's caused by your identification with this small, vulnerable self that can be easily depleted.
So the call is coming from inside the house. The suffering is all generated internally.
Always. Every single time. The miracle in this scenario isn't getting Steve to change his mind and withdraw the request. And surprisingly enough, the miracle isn't necessarily just forcing yourself to give him the money either.
Wait, I'm glad you brought that up, because that was my next question. Does being spiritual and practicing this mean I just have to be a doormat? Do I have to say yes to everyone who asks me for anything?
Absolutely not. And this is a really crucial distinction to make. The Course is almost never about your external behavior. It is entirely about your internal motivation.
Explain that.
If you say no to Steve because you are terrified, hoarding your resources, and judging him as a deadbeat, that decision is based in fear.
Right.
But if you say yes to Steve and give him the money, but you do it because you feel incredibly guilty, or you are afraid he won't like you anymore if you say no, that is also based in fear.
So I can lose either way.
Yeah.
The action doesn't matter as much as the energy behind it.
If you are operating from picture one, yes, you lose either way because you are just reinforcing fear. The goal here is to get yourself into picture two, to get to a mental place where you realize your true safety comes from your infinite source, not from the balance in your checking account.
And once I'm in picture two,
From that place of genuine peace, you can look at Steve and say, no, I can't do that right now, but you say it with zero emotional charge, no guilt, no anger, no judgment. It's just a neutral fact.
or on the flip side, I could say yes, give him the money, and truly let it go.
Exactly. You could give it freely, expecting absolutely nothing in return, not even gratitude, because you inherently know your own supply is infinite. The outward behavior might look exactly the same to a bystander, but your internal energy is completely different.
This directly connects to that terrifying idea of projection that they talk about next. The source goes deep into how we project our own hidden guilt onto other people.
We do this constantly. It's our favorite defense mechanism. The transcript mentions the classic example of a team leader at a company who is constantly frustrated because he feels his team is lazy or uncommitted.
I think literally every manager in the history of the world has felt that at some point.
Why doesn't anyone around here work as hard as I do?
Right. But the ASIM diagnosis of that situation is pretty brutal.
What does it say?
It says to the manager, you are actually projecting your own hidden subconscious desire to be lazy onto your team, or you are projecting your own deep fear of failure onto them.
So they are just acting out what's inside the manager. Yes. The manager creates a world, a subjective reality, where he is the victim of all these incompetent people. Why? So that he can feel superior and justified in his anger.
So you're telling me I subconsciously hire lazy people just to prove to myself that I'm the ultimate martyr?
Subconsciously, yes, exactly that. You cast them in the role of the slackers so that you get to play the starring role of the heroic, long-suffering leader.
Man, that is dark. That requires taking so much accountability.
It is dark, But it's also the master key to your freedom. Because think about it. If you are the one casting the play, you have the power to rewrite the script.
And I guess this leads us right into the concept of forgiveness.
Yeah.
But the source makes it very clear this isn't normal forgiveness, is it?
No, not at all. Normal forgiveness, which the Course actually calls forgiveness to destroy, is very ego-driven. It sounds like this. You are a very bad person. You did a terrible thing to me. But I, being the saintly, highly evolved, spiritual person that I am, will deign to forgive you.
That is totally how I forgive people. It feels great. I get to keep my moral high ground forever.
It's a massive ego trip. It actually keeps the separation real. It says, I am up here on my pedestal, and you are down there in the dirt.
So what is true forgiveness then?
True forgiveness, or assigned forgiveness, is realizing, like we said earlier, outside there is no one else. This person is just showing me my own unhealed shadow.
So there's nothing to forgive.
Exactly. You realize there is actually nothing to forgive because the attack wasn't real in the ultimate sense. It was just a projection of your own split mind. You forgive them for what they didn't actually do to you.
Okay, I can literally hear the listeners right now screaming at their phones. This all sounds great philosophically, guys, but when I am cut off in traffic, or when my spouse makes that one specific sarcastic comment that drives me up the wall, all this high-minded philosophy goes completely out the window.
Of course it does. The slouch takes over instantly.
We need tools. We need practical, actionable tools to use in the heat of the moment.
And luckily, the source delivers on that. There is a very specific correction process outlined in the reading group notes. It's essentially a 4-step emergency drill for your mind.
I love a drill. Let's walk through it. Let's pick a very realistic scenario. Let's say I open my laptop and I get a nasty email from a client. Just a really rude, condescending email questioning my competence.
Perfect. Nasty email hits the inbox. Your pulse immediately spikes. Your face gets hot. What is step 1?
According to the notes, step 1 is simply stop.
It sounds so easy. It is actually the hardest step of the entire process.
Why is stopping so hard?
Because the ego, the slouch, wants to act right now. It is fueled by adrenaline. It immediately wants to fire back a highly defensive, perfectly crafted reply. Or it wants to screenshot the email and complain to a coworker. It desperately wants to vent that fiery energy. Step 1 requires you to totally freeze. Do not touch the keyboard. Do not open your mouth.
Just completely hit the pause button on the movie.
Right, which creates a tiny gap for step 2.
Right.
Step 2 is identify. You have to call the situation what it actually is, spiritually speaking.
So what do I say?
You say to yourself, I am engaging in a miscreation right now. Or, in simpler terms, I am actively choosing fear.
So you really have to admit that you're triggered. You can't pretend you're fine.
You have to admit you're triggered, and more importantly, you have to admit that you are the one doing the triggering. Which leads us right to step 3, which is the sole responsibility clause.
This is the step I absolutely hate.
Oh, everyone hates this one. This is where the ego throws a tantrum. In step 3, you have to look at your raging anger and honestly say, this feeling is not caused by the client's email. This feeling is caused by my own decision to interpret this email as an attack on my worth.
But wait, it was an attack. He used all caps. He copied my boss.
The pixels on the screen are entirely neutral. They are just lights on a monitor. The interpretation that my intrinsic value is being threatened by these pixels is 100% yours. You have to take total responsibility for your emotional state. You are not a victim of the client. You are the author of your reaction.
Okay, so I've paused. I've admitted that I'm freaking out. I've taken responsibility and admitted it's my fault that I'm freaking out. Now I just feel angry, guilty, and totally stuck.
Yeah.
What is step 4?
Step 4 is the release valve. Step 4 is hand it over.
This is where we call in the assistant.
Yes. You turn to that internal assistant, whether you call it the Holy Spirit, Jesus, your higher self, the universe, and you say something like, I am totally stuck in picture 1 right now. I don't know how to see this situation differently. I am furiously angry and I kind of want to destroy this client. Please help me. Please correct my perception.
You just completely surrender the problem.
You admit that you cannot fix it with your own brain. As Einstein famously said, you can't solve a problem with the same level of consciousness that created the problem in the first place. You created this anger with your ego mind. You have to use the spirit mind to dissolve it.
There was a really cool hack mentioned in the transcript for this, for when you just cannot get there emotionally, when you are just too angry to be spiritual, the fake it till you make it approach.
Yes, the vow. This is so practical. Sometimes the emotion is just too strong. You physically cannot force yourself to feel love and peace toward the jerk client in that moment.
I definitely can't. not when my blood is boiling.
So instead, you make a goal or a vow. You just state an intention. You say, I willingly choose to see peace, even though I do not feel it at all right now.
It's just a statement of intent.
Exactly. It's a way of overriding the autopilot. It's essentially telling the assistant, look, I am throwing a massive tantrum right now down here, but deep down, my true will is that I want to be at peace. Work with that.
And does that actually work?
The source says yes. It says, okay, that willingness is enough of a crack in the door. The light can get in there.
The speaker gave a great sales example here that I thought was fascinating, using this exact four-step process on rejection.
Oh, this is absolute gold for anyone in business or sales.
So lay it out for us. A salesperson pitches a client and gets a hard no.
Mm.
Usually, the downward spiral starts instantly. I suck at this. I'm going to be broke. I'll never hit my quota.
Right. That is the slouch. That is a rapid descent to picture one. And the thing is, that desperation energy, future customers can smell it on you. It actively repels them.
So instead of spiraling, the salesperson uses the drill. They stop. They identify the fear. They take responsibility. And they hand it over. They affirm to themselves, my core value is not tied to this one sale. My ultimate supply comes from the source, not from this client.
And here is the beautiful paradox of the whole system. When they truly let go of the desperate need for that specific sale, when they mentally detach, they suddenly become incredibly charismatic.
Because the pressure is off.
The pressure is entirely off. They become light. They become confident. They become someone you actually want to talk to. And the very next customer they meet thinks, wow, I really want to work with this person.
So doing the internal spiritual work actually creates the external business result.
Exactly. But, and this is a massive flashing neon but, you cannot do the spiritual work in order to get the business result. That is an ego trick.
I can't say, okay, got it, I'm going to surrender so that you give me the big commission check.
Right.
But
That's just you trying to manipulate the divine. That's just magic again. You have to surrender purely to get your peace back. The commission check is just a happy side effect of being peaceful.
That makes a lot of sense. We are moving into the final stretch of the source material here, and I want to make sure we address something that came up in part 5 of the reading. It takes a slightly darker turn.
Mm.
It's about why we resist all of this so intensely. Why is it so incredibly hard for us to just accept love and be peaceful?
The source says something deeply profound here. It says, we are actually afraid of our own power.
See, that sounds counterintuitive. Why would I be afraid of being powerful? I spend my whole life trying to get more power, more money, more influence, more control.
We think we want power. But deep down in our subconscious, the Course argues, we inherently know that our minds are creators. As it says, there are no idle thoughts. Every single thought we have creates form at some level.
And since most of my thoughts are highly judgmental, petty, and angry.
Exactly. You are terrified that you have actually created a monster. You are afraid that if you truly acknowledge how powerful your mind is, you will have to simultaneously acknowledge all the terrible damage you've done with it.
I see.
Deep down, we think we have actually used our power to destroy love. We think we broke the world. We think we separated from God and ruined everything.
So we play small on purpose to hide from our own guilt.
We actively pretend we are weak. We pretend we are helpless victims. We act like weak little leaves blowing around in the wind, completely at the mercy of fate, because being a helpless victim feels a lot safer than admitting you are a powerful creator who messed everything up.
It's the unknown that really scares us then.
Yes. And this brings us to the story of the cliff. This story was detailed in the transcript, and I have to admit, it gave me chills when I read it.
Yeah, we absolutely have to tell this story. It illustrates the point perfectly.
So the speaker talks about a woman. She was out hiking, or maybe she was driving, but she falls off a massive cliff, a huge drop. By all known laws of physics and medicine, she absolutely should have died on impact.
But she didn't.
She didn't. She survived.
Yeah.
Miraculously, without a single scratch on her. It was an unbelievable event. Her family celebrated. It was on the news. It was a miracle in the conventional external sense of the word.
And then what happened?
A few days later, she was safely at home in her house. A random fire broke out, and she died in the fire.
That is just horrific. It's so
It
tragic.
is an awful tragedy. But the source uses this extreme example to illustrate a very specific universal psychological mechanism. When we hear a story like that, what is the very first thought that pops into the ego's mind?
It's usually something like, oh, fate finally got her.
Right. His very final destination, you can't cheat death.
We think there's a quota, like her number was up.
We truly believe that the universe is a predator lying in wait. We think, well, if she managed to survive the cliff, the universe was always going to send the fire to finish the job.
We deeply believe that the unknown is actively hostile towards us.
And that specific belief is the ultimate manifestation of Picture One. That is the very core of all human fear. We are terrified of the future. We are terrified of the unknown because we subconsciously think the future is coming to punish us for our sins.
Wow. So how do we possibly flip that? How do we stop fearing the future?
You have to make the unknown a friend, and the text is clear. You cannot do that by trying to predict the future or control the future. You can only do it by trusting the one who actually controls the future.
Trusting the assistant.
If you genuinely trust the assistant, if you trust the source, then you realize the unknown isn't a dark, scary room full of monsters waiting to eat you. It's just a dark room full of presence waiting to be opened.
That is a massive shift in perspective to make.
It's the hardest shift in the world. But it is the only shift that actually leads to what the Course calls the happy dream.
Let's end on that concept today, the happy dream. Because I know sometimes when people talk about this kind of heavy, non-dual spirituality, it sounds like the end goal is to just detach from the world completely, to go sit in a cave and do nothing. But the Source talks about living a happy life right here in the world.
Right. It absolutely does not want you to be a miserable, detached monk. It wants you to be happy. But it explains that true happiness only comes from aligning your personal will with divine will.
And I assume divine will isn't some harsh commandment to go suffer in a desert somewhere.
No, not at all. Divine will is just joy, it's flow, it's perfect love. The Source points out this massive internal conflict we all have. We deeply want peace. That is our true will. But what we actually do all day is worry, plan, and try to control everything.
So our behavior is completely out of alignment with our desire. We are fighting ourselves.
We are constantly fighting ourselves, and that internal friction is what creates the fatigue of modern life. The happy dream is simply what happens when you finally stop fighting.
So I can still have the goals. I can still execute the million-dollar plan.
You can still have the job, you can still have the romantic relationship, you can build the business, you can do all the things in the world.
But what's the difference then?
The difference is you no longer worship those things. You don't ask the job to be your God. You don't demand that your spouse act as your savior and provide all your inner peace. You let them completely off the hook.
You stop demanding that the world fix your mind.
Exactly. You rely entirely on your internal connection to the Source for your safety. And then you just let the physical world be a playground where you get to extend that safety and love to other people.
You become the light in the room instead of desperately looking around for a light switch.
Beautifully said. That is the happy dream.
Well, we have covered a truly massive amount of ground today. I feel like my brain has been stretched in about 5 different directions.
It is a serious mental workout. We went all the way from the physical slouch to meeting the AI assistant. We slogged through level confusion. We faced the terror that outside there is no one else. And hopefully we ended up somewhere near the happy dream.
I want to leave the listener with a final provocative thought, drawn from the source material. It's a question that honestly has been haunting me since I read it, but in a really good, expansive way.
It's the ultimate antidote to that deep fear we have of our own power, the fear that we ruined everything.
Right. We are terrified we broke the universe.
Yeah.
But the Course asks one simple question. What if you haven't?
What if the separation from God never actually happened in reality?
What if you are just having a very vivid, very scary nightmare that you destroyed love?
Exactly. Think about a nightmare. When you are asleep in a perfectly safe bed, dreaming about being in a burning building, the fire feels incredibly real. The heat feels real. The panic is real. But you are not actually in a fire. You are totally safe in your bed.
And all you have to do is wake up.
That's the core message. You are completely innocent. You haven't actually sinned. You've just been deeply, deeply confused. And confusion, unlike a sin, can simply be corrected.
That is it's a massive relief. It is the deep breath you finally take after slouching for 20 years.
It really is.
So here is your call to action for the week. We are going to actively practice the correction.
We are running the drill.
We are running the drill. The next time you feel the slouch coming on the tightness in your chest, the flash of anger at a coworker, the sudden fear about your bank account, I want you to immediately try the 4 steps. Stop. Identify the miscreation. Take sole responsibility. And hand it over.
Don't try to frantically fix the outside world. Try to fix your perception of the world. Give the assistant a job.
Seriously, the AI is completely bored. Give it something to do today.
Put it to work. It's waiting for you.
Thank you all so much for joining us on this deep dive into A Course in Miracles and the amazing insights of Huiyang Lin. It is dense material, it is wild to wrap your head around, but it really might just change your mind.
Keep practicing the miracle, everyone.
Until next time, keep diving deep.